where a person has been singled out.
Yeah.
And I am specifically singling out that other individual for the intent of being mean. Now, the meanness that a bully is trying to project can be through name calling or teasing.
Right.
Can be pushing or hitting.
Right.
Can be threatening. The idea of spreading rumors.
Yes.
Playing mean or practical jokes. You know, we have all the time. We hear all the time where children say, I was just kidding.
Right.
They said something hurtful. They said something harmful. And then when they're confronted by the parent, they say, oh, but I was just kidding.
Right.
And then one of the last things I want you to note about this idea of bullying is that it can actually be something that is nonviolent, but in a sense does hurt. And that is social seclusion, isolation.
Right.
Not inviting someone to a party.
That's right.
Everyone sitting in a part of the bus away from this other person.
Right.
The way that I show you that you've been disregarded, that you're not included,
right.
Can be hugely harmful to an individual, and can be in effect, can affect them in other ways that are unhealthy.
That's right.
So bullying, an intentional act, which is not necessarily physically or emotionally violent.
Right.
Not necessarily, but can be, again, isolation. It's an indirect act. Does that make sense to you?
It can be, right.
So now that I've defined that idea of conflict and I've given you this idea of bullying, let me give you a definition Karen and I put together that we believe accurately sort of describes that idea. Ready?
Yep.
And it's an intentional and or aggressive act to demean, ridicule, and or abuse another child through physical, emotional, and or cyber means.
That's right. That's a new one. It's probably come online in the last 20 years since the takeoff of the internet and texting and the ability to, upload videos even. A
lot of parents really have, they haven't really connected to this idea that a lot of our children are heavily invested in their telephones for text messaging.
Yep.
It's interesting. Our 7-year-old daughter had picked up my iPad on the snack bar, and within 30 seconds had managed to find the internet, find YouTube, and find Justin Bieber.
That's right.
And was looking at videos of Justin Bieber and singing. 7 years old.
Right.
And has already figured out how to connect to the World Wide Web to strategically find information that was about something she was interested in.
That's right. She sure had.
But when you step back and realize that YouTube, anybody can upload to YouTube. Right. Now, granted, there are supposed to be safeguards about 18 years old and having permissions, etc. But we're finding that a lot of children have found ways to circumvent that. I would like to think that it hasn't occurred to us, but I just gave you the idea that our daughter has gone onto our iPad and figured out how to get on the internet. Some parents don't realize that some parents don't have parental permissions on their home computers or their electronic devices because they haven't figured out.
Or their kids' gaming systems.
Because they haven't figured out that, wait a second, my child can pick up my device, go to my computer, push the enter key, and use the mouse and be there. And, a lot of times your passwords auto-load.
Right.
Because you don't really suspect anybody else is going to be there.
Yeah.
So we have to elevate ourselves to the attention span here. But let me go back to that idea of bully defined. An intentional, aggressive act to demean, ridicule, or abuse another child through physical, emotional, and or cyber means.
That's right.
Now, that really isn't quite all there is to it, because Carrie and I were driving here. We were discussing some of this stuff, and we felt like that there was a footnote that needed to be added to this. Because when we're talking about bullying, we're actually talking about that person trying to impact someone in their peer group.
Right. In their social structure or their peer group. It doesn't matter. If you go to another school, you're probably and you are putting things on the web about me and I don't know it, or you're saying things, it's probably not going to affect me. But when it's in your social group, when it's with kids that know you or you have to interact with, or they want to exclude you, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So the definition is interesting, because the power of a bully and the focus of that bully is to affect someone that's within the realm of their social or peer group, and to put myself in such a position that I'm directing my energy or negative energy towards you, to isolate you or to punish you in some way.
Yeah.
You know, as we looked at some of the statistics, and that's what we're going to go to next, it was really interesting that one footnote we had found is that many of the children that had been bullied felt like they were bullied because of some physical appearance issue. Maybe they were overweight. Maybe their hair was too short, or maybe they had a big nose.
Right.
You know, and it's unfortunate, but when we look at those children that have stepped up and said, you know, yeah, I was bullied, and the reason I was bullied was, typically it's because of some unusual appearance, some other, and sometimes it is ethnic based. I mean,
sure can be.
When we find kids that, you know, they're just tall, or they're short, or culturally, you know, I don't know. I read these statistics and I understand, although I can't give you specifics, but the idea is that I'm demeaning you, attacking you because of some issue that separates you from everybody else in the world of appearances.
Yes.
Okay?